Hey there guys, Hassasini here, and welcome back to another amazing video. At this point, I think everyone and their mom are talking about the absence of the big Black Flag remake announcement. I think a lot of us expected it to happen at the Game Awards, but it seems like Ubisoft just had other plans. It was gonna be either a big announcement or some sort of shadow drop from the very beginning. They've never really done a shadow drop before, so I found that it was gonna be pretty unlikely that they go this certain route. The only reason I still think they might release this game as a shadow drop is maybe because they fear the criticism they'd get for any changes. Similar to how AC Shadows initially received a lot of criticism for his protagonist, which may or may not have affected the final sales of that game. Well, at least we have the official name of the game now. Thanks to that Peggy 18 leak on their website, it's been basically confirmed that the name of the remake will be called Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. How do you guys feel about that name? I think I like it. It's a cool thing to call a remake, and it fits perfectly with the animus system and that simulation aspect of Assassin's Creed. Now, although we didn't get a trailer, there are some concerning things I've seen recently about this remake, and I wanted to go over everything that seems to have been confirmed to be in this game or very likely to be in the game. Shout out to Zephyrus on Twitter for this nice little summary tweet about everything we know and everything we should know about this upcoming remake. I'm just gonna quickly go over these points and explain my thoughts on every big change that will most likely be seen real soon in this remake, the first of probably many from Ubisoft. Alright, first big point. The remake removes the modern day and replaces it with more content in Edward's pirate era. Dude, a few extra hours of gameplay compared to the original, and we're taking out the modern day. This is what we like to hear. If you didn't watch my other video about my wish list for this game, I essentially wanted them to deal with the modern day in some way. I gave sort of three options, and one of those options was to just completely remove it and just essentially focus the entire game on Edward's story. Looks like now we'll have it. No stupid interruptions in between our Animus experience. We even get a couple extra hours of content with Edward's character. This is a massive win for the Assassin's Creed community. I know some of you guys liked it, but I'm pretty sure majority of us hated this, and we love to see this go. Now, we don't exactly know what these couple extra hours of content will look like, but that's just something we're gonna have to wait and see. But it can't be worse than the modern day. Now the second big point. RPG style is coming back, and this time it's gonna be an AC Black Flag. Look, man, I was really hoping this wasn't going to be the case. I don't know, man. I just don't like the RPG stuff. If they implement RPG style combat, it's going to be a massive downgrade from the OG Black Flag combat. Honestly, it was completely fine in my opinion. The chained takedowns were so cool and fun to do, and you just can't get that same flow from the RPG style combat. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks like this, but would you rather have, the Shadows combat versus the Black Flag combat? What would you prefer? I'm not liking this. Now, I know some people argue that Shadows has more variety and more tools that you can use, and they like to switch it up. I'm not a big fan about this. Maybe they'll change it up just slightly and not make it as... Maybe there still will be chain takedowns somehow in this game. We'll see what they do with this. It doesn't sound too good though. I love the wording of this choreographed combat of the original. Isn't that what made it so great? Like, the fighting in that game was just so fun because it was so smooth and essentially choreographed. Like, hey man, this is just my opinion. Some smaller things too. RPG aspects were planned to have a bigger role, but they have been reduced during development. I'm not hating on that. Again, I'm not a big fan about RPG stuff, so that's great. I'm glad they're dumbing it down a little bit. No loading screens when moving between ship and land. This was actually another thing I mentioned in my video, my wish list. I think this should be pretty obvious. Especially with the PS5 and the newer series consoles, loading times should be a thing of the past, and I'm glad they're taking that into account. Another big point. The map's not going to be bigger, but the islands will be filled with more activities and content. I don't mind this at all. I think the original map size was fine. Adding more diverse and special side missions can easily be a substitute for the need to expand the map. In fact, there's no point of expanding the map if they were planning to keep the same old side content as before. I think overall this is a pretty good decision, and I'm not really going to be one to complain about this. Looks like we might see extra cut content from the original, like parts of Mary Reed's storyline that were dropped in their original game. We love this, new content related to story, it's always a plus. Expanding on the game and all the characters, you can't really dislike that. I'm glad this is happening. Now, this is another big point that we touched on earlier. They're going to be using the Anvil engine now. So essentially the same engine as AC Shadows. Look, this has its downsides and it's also upsides. Upsides being sort of the graphics, but the downsides are a lot more. I'm a little concerned for the parkour. I feel like that's not something we're thinking about right now. I mean, if we're using this engine, my biggest fear is that it will take away that certain speed from the OG parkour. There's gonna be no more quick side ejects and quick decisions to be able to cancel movements. This is somewhat concerning, I will say. Again, I'm not worried about the graphics side of things, but I am very concerned for the combat and parkour right now. And then everything else we sort of already had an idea of. Things like weather effects will be very similar to AC Shadows. Again, I think AC Shadows graphics are fine. They look great. I'm not really too concerned about that. Another big thing is they'll be reusing a lot of Skull and Bones assets. I think we all sort of expected that and we already knew that. And then lastly, big thing, it's gonna release sometime in March 2026. Again, we sort of expected that. I don't think this is something new to us. So yeah, overall, right now I'm a little concerned at the moment with two major things: parkour and the combat. Everything else sounds like good news and more variety. I can't really say anything against that. I'm sure a lot of you guys love the Shadows parkour and combat, but I just don't think I'm ever gonna be able to say that Shadows tops the OG Black Flag for these two categories. I just can't do it, man. But what are your guys' thoughts? How do you feel after not seeing the official announcement of this remake? Do you guys think they will announce it at all? Or is it going to be a shadow drop? Let me know in the comments below. We all probably have similar feelings towards what would make this game great, but I know some of you out there are very interesting people and have very different opinions. So I'm curious to hear you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to support me and stay tuned for future banger Assassin's Creed related videos. And I will see you all in the next one.